always fascinated by that old New York stuff.
Yeah.
Which is it's appealing to me.
Yeah.
But you guys, you're shooting in regular neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So elsewhere in Brooklyn.
Yeah, our soundstage is in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, so we shoot all of our interiors there. And then the exterior of the hospital is in Bed-Stuy, and then we also use Park Slope a bit, Lower East Side for some, sort of street things, but and all over. And then even in Yonkers, we were in Yonkers not long ago, and we used Staten Island for Nicaragua, which was kind of cool.
That's how many of us think of Staten Island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Texas.
Yeah.
But are you like? I mean, I haven't noticed that you guys are intruding on the neighborhood. I live very close to where the Nick building is.
Yeah.
And I haven't noticed you guys skulking around and shooting.
Yeah.
So you must be. Well, you're only there from
7 to 3. Exactly. That's the thing. It's so fast. Like I think we don't even have time to get on people's nerves. In and out. Yeah.
Now you were telling me you came here from Alabama, where you're directing a stage reading and script. Can you just? It sounds like you're not. It's nonstop.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. So we wrapped the season about 3 weeks ago, and 3.5 weeks ago, and then the next day I went to Italy to do co-directing a Shakespeare play, Tempest. For it's kind of a complicated thing, but I went to NYU for grad school, and NYU has a campus in Florence, Italy. So I go over there, just about every summer and do something. It kind of is this laboratory for creating new work. This particular year, there was a festival called the Black Portraitures Conference, which started a couple of years ago, and it goes. Last year it was in Paris, and this year it's in Florence. And so they hosted that conference there at the villa where we stay and work. And so I directed co-directed the Tempest, and then I also have a one-man show that I created, so I performed that there. And then after that, I flew back to Utah to go to the Sundance Directors Lab. So I was there for 10 days. Left there and went to Alabama a couple of days ago to direct a reading of a play for some local college students. It's a sort of fundraising, thing, which made me feel really good to be a part of. Came down here, and then I go back to Alabama tonight to finish that, and then back to Italy tomorrow to finish the play, The Tempest. So
That's your frequent flare.
Man, I need them.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Yeah.
No, it sounds pretty frenetic. What do you? What's the one-man show?
So it's there's a short story that I read. One of my favorite writers is James Baldwin. So there's a short story he wrote called Sonny's Blues that I read a long time ago that really touched me. And I've also, so the one-man show is sort of using that as a jumping off point to tell stories about my own family. I grew up in a very small town in Alabama, and I had a very close relationship with a cousin who was a bit more like a brother. And the relationship that I have with my brother is quite like the relationship that James Baldwin talks about in this short story. So sort of put the two together, and it gives me an opportunity to play, I think, 12 or 13 different characters from my sort of life past, and while telling this story, this sort of coming-of-age story of this young boy and his brother.
So you've done this in Italy?
Yeah.
And anywhere else?
Italy, then I did it also in New York, just for a couple of nights at a festival that NYU puts on. So a very sort of small, intimate thing. I'm a bit nervous about my stuff. I'm trying to build up the courage to get it out there, which it was so cool to sit and hear the panel that was in here before about people just pitching their stories. It was quite cool. So I hope to work up to doing that one of these days.
Well, I mean, it sounds like there's a sort of a dichotomy between doing all this stuff and the need to sort of cultivate the material that you have. It sounds like this one-man show is still developing.
Yeah.
And maybe still will develop more, and maybe you'll take it to some different places.
I think it will. I mean, I have, so where I grew up in Alabama is a very, very small town. And we didn't grow up with a lot of television or movies. So I grew up literally sitting around a fire barrel on Friday nights listening to my Aunt Hannah tell stories. Literally, that was most of my childhood. So storytelling to me is something that really is in me, I think. So I've always wanted to do it. I have, a stack of journals this big with different ideas and stories and things that I've sort of been working on for a long time. So I think I'm just now getting, and that's part of the reason I went to Sundance this year, because I wanted to see how that works, how these stories are actually, created and formed. So it's always been something that's in there, but I'm getting to it.
Well, ultimately, what do you hope this show will do? I mean, do you want to do it?
The one-man show?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to perform it again. I'm doing another presentation of it in New York on the 25th with friend of mine who's a jazz musician. His name is John Baptiste. You know Dallas Records? Yeah, who's the band. Yeah, he just became the band, the house. You know, his band became the house band for Stephen Colbert. Anyway, so he and I are sort of collaborating on this like thing where I'm going to do some like storytelling, and he's going to play it. And so that'll be the next step, and then we'll see from there. Maybe it'll continue to grow. Yeah.
So when you go to Sundance, are you in an advisory capacity?
No. I was there as an actor. Yeah. I was there as playing the lead part in this woman's film. This woman named Olivia.
Oh, so what's that?
It's a film called First Match. It's set in Brooklyn. It's about this young girl who doesn't have much of a relationship with her father, but really longs for one. So she joins the boys' wrestling team at her high school as a way of sort of being close to him somehow, because he also had been a really sort of famous wrestler in their high school. And the story is about them trying to rekindle their relationship, and the sort of absence of love in her life, and also the absence of love in the father's life, and how that makes it very difficult for them to be together. And in the end, the young girl ends up making the decision that she's better off alone. Yeah.
So when you go there, were you familiar with the material before? When you get there, they gave you a script?
They gave it to me a couple of days before, and so about a week before, and so I read it a few times, had a few conversations with the director, and then we got there, and by the time I got there, she had already written a new draft of it. And so the 10 days was all about us helping her to sort of flesh out the characters, and then she'll go back, I think, this week and rewrite yet another draft of it. And
this is going on at the Sundance Resort.
Yes.
Among how many projects?
There were 8 projects. Yeah, 8 first-time directors, or first-time feature directors. Some of them have come from sort of a documentary background.
Right.
Like your first, yeah.
Young Chang.
Yeah.
But some of them have footage of it. Some of them have shot stuff, but it's not. I guess it's not finished.
Yeah, it's not finished. Like a lot of them shot shorts before they got to Sundance, and then while we were there, I think we shot 4 scenes from Olivia's piece, and everybody shot about the same amount. They cut it together, and then we did a big screening night in their screening room, and the next day they got critiques, and they went back and we shot some more scenes, and so that sort of process. And it's really cool because like each project is assigned 2 different advisors, and so throughout the day, 2 or 3 different advisors. So throughout the day, you're rehearsing, and Robert Redford walks in and like gives you advice about what to do and what not to do, and then like J.C. Shandor was there this year, and all these filmmakers and editors and cinematographers, people just sort of come in and hover and help them develop their own sort of process, which is quite cool.
And this is just one lab.
It's just one, yeah. They also have they have a theater lab, which I've been to as well. They have a producing lab. They have an episodic story lab. They have loads going on out there. It's quite cool. Yeah.
Less noise.
A lot less noise. Beautiful out there.
Do you want to take questions?
Yeah.
Take us into more of a conversation.
Yeah.